juvenile fillies to 14 of them across the track. We will send on their way. End of the dance on the outside, broke a little sideways, broke KK, but meanwhile it's going to be Stein, but running on now, and Somali Lemonade's got 8 to make up. They come to the top of the lane, Stop Shopping Maria's got a lot left. Stop Shopping Maria goes on, Sweet Cat is right there, hard not to right, Royal Body is running on. Past the 8 ball way comes Stop Shopping Maria for the run, still under a hand wide as they come to the 16th. Stephanie's Kitten coming out late. Yes, Stephanie's Kitten coming fast. Stephanie's Kitten, Stop Shopping Maria. Stephanie's Kitten's wanted. Watched the chances, broke smartly, but so did Terra from the Cape. On the inside, Sky Lantern the Grey going well. If he can get through, Sky Lantern the Grey looking for somewhere to run wide open. It's Terra from the Cape hanging on. Terra from the Cape tries to go all the way. On the outside now, here comes Flotilla in the light blue. Flotilla is absolutely flying. Watch the chances in there too. But Flotilla has gone right on by. And Flotilla is coming home to score. Flotilla has won it just about 2 in the end. It'll be Watch the Chances, Summer of Fun coming on to finish there.
Live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report, coming to you live from the backstretch of Saratoga Race Course on a dry Alabama Stakes Day morning, still humid. And it'll be Pacific Classic evening, about 3.5 hours after we run one of the premier 3-year-old filly races in America at 10 furlongs. We'll run one of the premier 10 furlong races in the United States. And Joel Rosario out on the West Coast, so he won't be here today. He has Dr. Post in the Pacific Classic for Todd Pletcher. I am joined on this terrific day of racing by our friend and partner, Seth Merrow. Seth, good morning.
Good morning. And I'm just looking at the entries here. Field of not entered out at Del Mar today. Grade 1, $1 million up for grabs. Dr. Post looks pretty good coming in for Todd Pletcher with the aforementioned Joel Rosario comes out of the win.
There's going to be about 5 horses within 2 points of each other on the board. I think
Royal
when the wagering's done.
The horse that you talked about on your Del Mar play, I think looks pretty good for Richard.
Yeah, he's
Mandela.
in the mix. Royal Ship from Richard Mandela.
Independence Hall on a best effort, I think, can be a player in there for Mike.
You see his last stakes win?
Yeah.
The Jerome.
Yeah.
At that point, making him 3 for 3. What was the Jerome? New Year's Day that year?
Yeah, and he was with Trombetta at that point.
And he was a heavy pay attention Northeast area horse. And after the Jerome, I think you went to South Florida, right? Tampa, your place of...
Yep,
and
Sam Davis.
Really fell off the map. I think he has like an allowance victory.
Was it Volante being Cone horse, I want to say.
Yeah, so if you've been looking for Independence Hall, you're going to get him today at 10 furlongs.
Express Train for John Sheriff's looks like an interesting player coming out of the San Diego win. 10th race, our time, so post time is 9:33. Yeah.
Just as you're finishing up dinner or something, of course, a couple years ago, Beholder, maybe on dirt, other than Princess Rooney's Breeders' Cup Distaff, the inaugural run, the most dominant performance for a filly at 10 furlongs against Cole. I mean, just, what, she went by 6 or something, just exploded at the 5/16 pole and ran away.
Well, I have Tom Durkin coming up top of the hour on Racing Across America. And at one point, I'm going to pull up the call to Rachel Alexander and the Woodward, which was one of the great filly performances. Probably my best experience at the racetrack. And I have a video where I stood behind the box seats, and you can see the fun. I mean, and Durkin mentions it in his call. I mean, the rafters were shaking. The place was just electric that day. She gets challenged early, gets challenged late, and holds on there. So that was a nice filly and performance as well.
I don't imagine you can do the compare and contrast with the personal ensign the next year.
I did not do a compare and contrast.
Okay.
You can compare and contrast.
Well, she went like 28 seconds for the final quarter mile and persistently ran her down.
And
never ran again.
Yeah, I mean,
what was she, 2 for 5 her 4-year-old year?
That sounds right. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
But that was she took on the boys as a 3-year-old filly, which was unique. Lady Secret.
That was certainly the high watermark. Again, out at Del Mar, Pacific Classic, some other nice stakes as well.
Del Mar Mile.
Del Mar Handicap.
I wonder if the Del Mar Derby is going to be interested in sort of supplanting the Secretariat Stakes as a premier summertime race. I don't think they've ever gotten to the Grade 1 status that the Del Mar Oaks has gotten to. People should remember, if you don't follow Del Mar in the summer, their focus on 3-year-olds is turf racing. I mean, exclusively. They have a series of 3 races for each sex for the 3-year-olds in the summertime, and that's really always the way it's been. I mean, there's never been a dirt focus for 3-year-olds at Del Mar. It's always been turf, and now the Secretariat looks as if it's gone away, so there's an opportunity. I know it's a division you always like to pay attention to.
I think it starts early in the year and continues to the end of the year.
There's no doubt that's a steep big tide on the steep big day out of the Pacific Classics. Just the glitter, the shine of it, the announcement of I'm here is Steve Pick.
I like that. It's announcing I'm here.
Yes,
I like that.
It's not a wallflower tie at all.
Those are what I'm shooting for and I've been told by my legion of fans that I have to wear the dark coat. I got bad reviews wearing a lighter coat recently.
I didn't want to go that far. You gotta go gentle. You gotta, it accentuates.
That's what I was getting. That's the feedback I was getting.
Could have asked me. I would have helped you out. Even you compliment that I have nice wares, and so you could have said, maybe this guy knows something. But
you are definitely, as far as fashionista. I just wanted to, on Del Mar, mention $1.8 million in the pick 6, and it's a mandatory pay today. So if you're interested,
trust me, they are going to bet it. They have. Southern California has embraced the pick 6 almost from flag fall to that's all. I don't think they've ever.
I have said this a bunch of times. It's funny, that pick bet and how geographically it plays out, because you're right. From the beginning, California has always been the pick 6 venue, but New York was pretty close. But then they went to the jackpot,
right?
And that's huge down at Gulfstream. And Maryland has done okay with it. The other Stronach venues, they're okay. But otherwise, the jackpot just hasn't caught on at any place other than Gulfstream. I mean, other places do it, and they'll get up, but not the way Gulfstream does. I'm going to tell you what,
just keeping a myriad of statistics and everything, there's just not the money in the pool. And my wife, who's a numbers person, I said, think about this. The work is ostensibly almost the same to hit the pick 6 at a small track as New York, but you don't get rewarded at the small tracks. I have to tell you, folks, sometimes there's like 5,000 in the pool, and you're on the hamster wheel just like the person in New York or California, and they're looking at 45, and you're looking at 3,500. So if you're a player, because I have to tell you, Seth, I've looked into playing smaller tracks, their pools and everything, but especially trifectas, but it's just not as rewarding because of the pool size. And you're like, well, if you're going to be a pick 6 player, you can't be in a pool that has $8,000 You know, it's just not worth it. It's just as hard. I mean, it all comes down to field size. I mean, you have, you know, 6 fields of 10 at, you know, I'm not going to say a track's name, but, and there's 8,000 in the pool, you're like, you just don't get rewarded. But in California, they've never wavered. In New York, you know, it got to a point where that old $2 bet, we'd had the carryover at Aqueduct, it'd be like 17,000.
Yeah.
Yet in years prior, it would be, you could almost count on 40 at Aqueduct, 50 at Belmont, and 60 at Saratoga.
I think the pick 5 at various venues is taking money on the pick 6 pool as well.
Yeah, the pool size. I know you're still waiting for the 50-cent pick 3 in New York.
I like it. I mentioned it before because it allows me, you know, if you hit a $20 winner in the first leg of your pick 4, you can now kind of jump in on that pick 3 and maybe back up some of the prices you didn't cover. And at the 50 cents, you can do that. At the $1, you're kind of wavering back and forth on that. But pretty much everybody else does that 50-cent pick 3.
Yeah, it is.
But they haven't.
It does seem to be the industry norm is 50-cent pick 3.
It hasn't changed here. Oh, I will tout just one more. Give one more. No. Again, shamelessly tout voting.
America's Best, right?
Yeah,
Racing?
America's Best Racing.
Go on.
And again,
favorite
TV personality. And if you
makes James Brown look like a slacker.
If you go to Equidaily, I have the link. You see the link right there, but it's just easier if you go to Equidaily. The link's right at the top of the page. And if you voted, thank you. If you haven't voted yet, go shoot me a vote. Voting closes today.
That might have been the greatest clickbait ever. I make it easier. Just go to my site. It's easier. I like it. That is the greatest promotion ever.
Who is remembering this and going to their computer
Nobody.
and typing it out?
Nobody.
So I am just trying to make it easier.
Yeah.
But I will say the TVG juggernaut. I don't know. I actually had the vote total on my computer last night before I went to bed.
The aggregate.
So it was there, the totals for everybody. And then this morning when I came up, I refreshed it. One of the TVG guys overnight got 900 votes. Overnight! How'd that happen?
Go easy on us overnighters.
Something. Well, I'm an overnighter too. I don't know whether that was.
Larry King said 50 years ago, there's a lot of us out there.
Yeah, that's right. Larry used to do the overnight radio show. But yeah, I'd appreciate last day of voting. I would certainly appreciate a vote. Let me hit you with some of the promos today. The syndicate is today, but again, the syndicate team is full. But again, I always mention it because every Saturday we have a syndicate. They open on Sundays.
So there's two more that people can get into.
If you want to get into the Travers, log on to capitalotv.com tomorrow because it's first come, first serve. So keep that in mind for next Saturday syndicate. Good luck to everybody playing today with the syndicate. Today there's a $100 pick 3 bankroll. I will have that coming up a little bit later on. I think you probably still have time to put your name in the hat to maybe get on that team. Play the board contest today down at the Clubhouse Racebook. Keep that in mind. Tomorrow there's a show pool bankroll. Again, you still have time to visit the website and perhaps get on tomorrow's show pool team, and Sunday at the Racebook. Pick 4 promotion and a match bet all at the Clubhouse Racebook tomorrow, 7-Eleven Central
Now
Avenue
that pick
in
3,
Albany.
do you spread out? Is that the idea there? You play a couple different pick 3s? And
I varied during the meet. A couple of weeks ago, I did various versions of one. I went a little bit deep because there was a couple of long shots I wanted to include.
Yes.
And then I did a couple smaller tickets, the same pick 3, that were more logical. And so I wound up hitting it for $3, which it only paid $75, but we chunked up with 3 tickets on it. Kind of, as I say, paring down to the more logicals. But other weeks I have kind of used a couple of different pick 3s, and we've hit a couple of those as well. So we'll see what we can do this afternoon on Alabama Day card.
Trivia question number 1: the early pick 5 payment yesterday.
I didn't. Oh, was it? It was $24, right? Yeah.
Nails on.
Yeah.
$24.12.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, that was.
What do you think was in the sports section above the fold in the Post-Star this morning? I'll give you $500 if you get this, because I'm not even so sure you have. I'm not so sure you know the subject matter. I'll even give you a hint. It's a person. I don't even think you know what this person does. On Alabama Day, you're not gonna get. I don't even think you know who the person is. When I say it, you'll be like, if I say the person's name, I don't think you can fill out the headline.
Okay.
Henrik Lundqvist.
Just from the name, I would guess hockey.
Guess that tells you everything else. Called it a career. That was the above the fold on Alabama Day of the Post-Star. Yes, the great Hendrik Lundqvist of the New York Rangers had a heart condition and never actually played again. But Hendrik Lundqvist of hockey fame, not Seth's favorite sport.
Yeah, well, with the
we talk about
2 years I spent at RPI, I was.
But the years we used to work, we used to talk about the analogy of hockey and horse racing was they seemed to be shoulder to shoulder in the landscape of getting space. That was what we always kind of, and I love hockey, and Seth is ambivalent to it, and that's why it was kind of funny that today that they would have a hockey player.
I did, now that I'm thinking about it, I did, there was some.
Well, I remember when the horse, we were working together, and Tay's on ice, and you went to pronounce it one day. I go, you don't know who that is? Because I don't know who that is.
But now that I'm thinking about it, there was some conversation up in the press box because somebody was talking about going to the game, the retired jersey game, or they're shooting for what may be the retired jersey. Yeah. So I probably, if I thought about it a little bit, maybe I could come up with it.
Maybe. I would have got it. You ready?
Yeah.
Once again, we have some off the turf. The stakes are on. What's that? 3 and 9 we were talking about. 3 and 9 are on. You got the sprint.
And 9 has been moved to the inner. 3 and 9 are on. 9 has been moved to the inner.
Maybe they're afraid it'll get dug up after the sprint.
Yeah, well,
we'll go to the inner in here because.
So 5, 6, and 11 off.
And we'll get to those. Tough sledding, but listen, I mentioned it, Seth, on yesterday's show that the fans and the bettors had gotten it right. That 4-1 was the long shot. I was surprised they kind of whiffed on full court press. I thought that was not a horse that deserved to be almost $35, but the rest of them, obviously with a $24 pick 5, the folks have gotten 2 days of really having a zig and zag.
And I will say in the stakes race, it got moved to the dirt, but boy, Averly Jane for Wesley Ward, the filly facing the boys, she looked fabulous.
Well, here's the thing.
And she was a main track only, and the betting public was on that one. But
now remember, the New York breds earlier in the card went almost a full second faster.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
I think Scutchatori that's one of the fastest 5.5 furlongs in the history of Saratoga. Right?
Well, of course, that's older versus 2-year-olds.
Yes,
also.
But it's state breds versus, I thought a full second is a lot at 5.5 furlongs. So we had one of the fastest 5.5 furlong record races yesterday, and I think it's maybe in the top 5 slowest 9.5 furlong turf races. There have been a few that have been over 2 minutes. So I think this is like 5, 6, 7, 8 slowest of 1:59 and change. I do know we have had a couple that have gone over the 2-minute mark for a mile and 3/16. We're not going to get any of that today. The opener, 2-year-olds, maiden special weights going 6.5.
And I went 8-6 the one entry and 5 Raymond on top for me. Steve Asmussen runner. They paid $1 million for this one. We
just had this conversation 15 minutes ago. Asmussen.
Oh, Asmussen, yeah. I said I am stuck in that.
It happened.
Yeah, no.
Tell them what happened on the other front.
Well, we were debating about Rob Atris, rhymes with mattress, and I interviewed him. You get to see the interview on Racing Across America later, and when I went over, I asked him, because I've heard his name pronounced 5 different ways with emphasis all over, and it does rhyme with mattress, so it's Atris. And then down at the fairgrounds this winter, they made a real point of checking out, and it's Asmussen. But I said I'm stuck in my previous mindset there.
You look at my spelling, and it's pronounced Mormino, so I give people a lot of latitude. Except Brett Favre. I'm like, you don't get to change positions of the letters.
Yeah, I've never quite gotten that pronunciation, but I get Merrow a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Not a lot, but I get my first name my whole life. People have called me Seth.
Well, that's ridiculous because that's a
B-E-T-H. Nobody says Beeth.
But that's, you don't even have to be in the Bible or anything to be like, that's
I've got
not abnormal. It's Seth. So I'm in the same ballpark. We'll move this along.
Asmussen into mischief. Sibling called Cambria won the first 3, including the Kentucky Down Stake. Another sibling Principal, third, then first. The Dam Teen Pauline won her career debut up here at Saratoga in 2012, so that went on top. Triple Elvis.
Was it a track record for like an hour?
Oh, you might be right. Yeah, you might.
The track record fell twice.
Triple Elvis has a sibling called Made You Look that was second in debut, then won 2 more. One of those a stakes race, and I thought both halves of the entry could be a little bit live for Todd Pletcher. So 8, 6 to 1 and 3 and 5.
I see the similar. I Seth took all the firsts. I have Bourbon Heights in third for Ian Wilkes making the third career start, but I'm 6, 8, 7.
Race 2. They've only won 1. Non-winners are 1 other than. Well, I say that Halo City. If you won claiming races or whatnot, you can have a few more victories. Yes. But I made the point because given the condition, they're giving $103,000 away, going 7 furlongs.
Yeah, dial me up on a starter allowance on the outside. So there's another multiple winner in here, and I have dial me up in here. I think the dial. I'm the dialed in here. I'm 4, 2, 5, and I have to tell you that I like my top pick here for Al Stahl and Luis Saez. Won on debut at Churchill Downs. That was Kentucky Oaks Day. I like the effort going 7 furlongs, first time versus winners. Boy, I'll tell you, take a look at that race replay, and I was number 1 saddle cloth that day. I think there's a lot to like. Showed athleticism, which I liked, showed tractability, showed really quick turn of foot. We're on the outside with Luis Saez. I'm throwing out the 9 furlong race at Saratoga on July 22nd, and I am all in on dialed in the 3-year-old filly. For a second, Zayn Al-Arab making the 3rd career start. Won on debut last autumn, came back coming out of a Kentucky Oaks Day. Good effort. You have to, boy, I'll tell you, trip handicapping is a very time consuming angle, but I'll tell you, you watch this trip, boy, you're like stop, start, and still finishes second. Going to be tough to pay here at 7 to 5, and for third, dial me up for Linda Rice, 2 for 7 lifetime, 4, 2, 7.
Yeah, I went with the $1 million purchase on top. Okay. 2, 5, 3, and 4. The debut, the comeback to build on. Dial me up in the 2nd spot with the early speed from the outside. Just maybe a pace, kind of a pace play in a 5-horse field. That this one may just kind of grab them early and be tough to reel in late. And Primacy, the other Chad Brown runner, I think can be a player in with this group as well. 2, 5, 3, and 4.
On to the third. This is one of the 2. Still at this moment on the turf. This is Fillies and Mares, 4-year-olds and up. The Smart and Fancy 5.5 on the melon.
1, 2, 5, and 4. Robin Sparkles. I had Bruce Brown on maybe the day she ran or the day before, and then watching the race, and I was thinking, oh, my guest is going to get it done. Boy, turning for home, she looked great, and then just kind of faded a little bit and got past Caravel, the nice runner that kind of passed her in the stretch and looked pretty good doing it. But again, as I say, at the top of the stretch, I like Robin Sparkles. The even money looks a little short off the 3rd place finish, but I'm going to give her another shot in here. Lead Guitar, the race 2 back was certainly good enough. That was the season ender last year. The follow-up in the seasonal debut up at Woodbine makes you scratch your head a little bit, but there was problems up there, obviously, with this one being declared a non-starter. So I think you can probably draw a line through that and move on and look for what we saw towards the end of the year. And then Pacific Gale. You look at those 2 Gulfstream races going back to the winter. Those were good enough to get the horse in the mix here. So I'm hoping we can get back to that form from a little bit earlier this year. 1, 2, 5, and 4.
And I'll tell you, I don't know if Pacific Gale was in here hoping it came off the turf. I don't know. No, making the turf debut again, and I just took a flyer on her on the outside. She's shown good dirt speed in here. And if you remember the Caress Stakes with Robin Sparkles, that was the race where we had, I think, a clerical issue where a horse ran for purse only at like 11:30 in the morning, which you never heard. We had the purse only yesterday. The horse, everybody caught a break on the 1 entry because the 1A who did run ran about a furlong and a half and was out of the race. I mean, that was, boy, I'll tell you, when people clamor about a horse gets scratched and it's purse only, they want to stay, and you got absolutely saved, which was the right thing to do because that was very unique. I just took a flyer. It's between Lead Guitar and Sparkles. They're gonna Robin Sparkles, each going to be about even money. I took a flyer in here.
All right, race number 4, State Bred Maiden Claimers going 3/4 of a mile.
4, 7, 10. Here's a flyer that I have more faith in, if you were. And number 4, Escapeology, making the 3rd career start. I know it comes back as a 40 buyer speed figure after debuting at Belmont on the turf. And Seth, I have to tell you, I've seen more negative zeros in my life than this number. Got a 1. A 1. Remember when Beulah Park had so many horses that ran negative zeros like almost their whole career? But a 1. But I'm not interested in talking about that effort. But the effort at nearly 30-1 in the second start, where Joel Rosario and Jimmy Bond ran a 40 buyer speed figure in the slop. I thought a very good mid part of the race. This horse was on the outside, moved up steadily. You just anticipate that these moves don't last to the end, and it didn't. It lasted to the 8th pole in the slop. Today, though, I'm going to take a flyer on this 10-1 shot of the morning, number 4, Escapeology. For a second, Know It All Red, John Toscano's runner, coming off back-to-back seconds. And for 3rd, number 10, Prairie Tales, who was always run for a tag. But remember, in the New York State Bred set, there's 2 levels. There's 40 and there's 25. And this horse ran exclusively for 40. Now takes down the drop down to 25. So 4, 7, 10.
Well, we both took a pop in here, and I went with the 10 at the 10-1 morning line price with the early speed, the little bit of a drop, as you say, adding the blinkers today. The speed from the outside may be more potent at this level and with the blinkers. So I'll just hope David Cohen sends and gets tough to reel in late. Know It All Red in the second slot. I thought the horse had been in good form in the past couple of starts and seems to fit with this group. And then Tell a Perfect Tale in the 3rd spot. Back in for a claiming tag. The last time the horse was in for a tag, arguably the best race of the career. So we'll look for this one to maybe bounce back to a better effort, dropping in for that 25 tag this afternoon. Gaffleone on board. 10-7, 3 and 2.
All right, we're up to our first break. We'll take that quick break. We'll be right back live from the backstretch of Saratoga.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the Capital Region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Handicapper Sport alongside Seth Merrow. I'm Anthony Mormino on Alabama Stakes Day. 5th race, State Breds 45, in for 45, non-winners at 2. Other than off the turf now at 9 furlongs.
Yeah, and I went with the MTO on top, 6, 9, 3, and 7. I put too early on top. Gets the surface they wanted for Linda Rice. It just seems to have numbers that match up nicely with these, with the move to the dirt. So has that little bit of a buyer's edge that I think says this one probably winds up being the one to beat. 6% entered in the body of the field for Mike Maker, but entered with dirt form, only one turf start in the career, so maybe they were looking in the crystal ball and hoping to get what they are getting today. But regardless, I think this horse has good enough dirt form to put that one in. And Tiergan in the third spot. The number 3, Luis Saez, on board. He's been on board the past couple, which were nice starts on the main track down at Belmont, that indicate this one also will be a player in here, and particularly with the surface switch, obviously being a main track only. 6, 9, 3, and 7 for me.
And I strongly felt this would be the race we're getting, 9 furlongs on the dirt. So I sent it in, and I just thought Tiergan had a race setup advantage here over too early. So I'm 3, 5, 6. I think with Luis Saez and the 2-turn 9 furlong race, remember that Belmont at 9 furlongs on the dirt is 1 turn here. I'm hoping to use that as the edge at a little bigger price than the 6. 3, 5, 6.
6th race this afternoon, state bred optional claimer, non-winners to 2 other than. Again, this one was scheduled on the grass at 5.5, but we're now on the main track.
And in here, I think, this one I made a mistake, that Betsy Blue is going to be a big price, short price in here. I'm not so sure how much the other ones. I have Big Q was the main track only horse that I wanted, figuring Betsy Blue was the horse to beat in here. And once again, thinking that maybe perhaps the 3, the horses coming out would be the 3, the 4, the 9. We'll see what the 8 does. I think maybe I take my chances with a offspring of Into Mischief, who has only tried the turf in 3 career tries. I might just stay in there, but
And the last workout was pretty good over at Oklahoma.
Big Q was the MTO that I wanted over number 1, Betsy Blue.
I just stuck with the MTOs, 1, 11, 10, and 5. Cocapelli, the 8, though, I wouldn't argue against putting that one in the mix. As I say, off the last workout, if they elect to stay, that'll say something as well. But I did put Betsy Blue on top. Just seems to be in some good form. Get the surface they want. Fair Regis on the outside has some nice early positional speed. They also get the surface they want. And Beautiful Karen, I think, could be a player as well with plenty of early speed. It looks like Beautiful Karen and Fair Regis with the early speed maybe out there, and maybe we'll kind of ding-dong a little bit. Hopefully set it up for Betsy Blue. Betsy Blue obviously going to have to get a good trip without much early speed from the rail. That's going to be the question mark, but Irad Ortiz on board. I have it 1, 11, 10, and 5.
On to the 7th race. This looks like the split division of the first race. 2-year-olds, maiden special weights going 6.5. It's nice to see. People don't realize we grew up in an era of many split divisions. There were so many entries, and then I think it completely went away. But we've had at least 3 occasions so far where I think it's fair to say they were split divisions. I think that's what we have today in 1 and 7.
9, 3, 8, and 2. Cogburn on top for me. Not this time. The sire, very good sire, precocious runners. This horse worked a quick 20.3 before the Ocala sale. It is Steve Asmussen training. His horses can be ready early on.
Quick learner.
I tilted in that direction. But I thought number 3, Triumphant Road, 12-1 on the morning line. This one's interesting to me. Worked 10.1 before attracting $475,000 at Ocala this year. I think because Eddie Barker is training, the horse might get overlooked a little bit because it's a 2-year-old race up at Saratoga.
Barker's had that cost nearly $500,000. I mean, good for Eddie.
But this one, a sibling called Curlin's Fox won its career debut. There was another sibling called Madam Overserve, second, 6th, then 2nd and 1st. So out of the first 5 starts, 3 seconds and a win. So I thought there was win early with the breeding, the 10.1 workout. I 12-1. I'm going to take a look at that horse. And then Reserve Currency. These are connections I love up here at Saratoga for win early horses. Chad and Klarovich. There's a sibling called Nomo Doro that won its career debut. So there's a little win early there with the win early connections. I'll put that one in my mix as well. 9, 3, 8, and 2.
And this isn't, this is maybe borderline voodoo, but I do tend to pay a little bit more attention to the bigger operations on maiden special weight races on big days. I think
that's legit.
They know they're getting their horse ready close to a race, and somehow the maiden special weight on Saturday, particularly of a big day, I mean, we sort of have that quasi-famous one on the undercard of the Travers each year. I think they read a condition book and they're like, listen, I mean, Vanity, isn't just, reserved for Carly Simon, I mean, it's her song, not her personally. But I believe in that. And I think if you look down the ledger of Travers Day, Alabama Days, it's some of the big ones. I think this is the 2 and the 9. I think they have horses in the barn. They look around, and probably after about 6 or 7 workouts, they might guess which ones have a little bit more giddy up. I think Mr. Prankster and Cogburn are 2 of them. The other Todd Pletcher, the offspring of Super Saver, number 5, Bellinger for Windstar Farm in Siena. That's where I'm going. The first is in here at 9-5.
I think the word is that she was referring to Warren Beatty as being.
Well, right. That's why I didn't want to. The song, the song is so funny. Man, there's been great debate with, but Warren Beatty, I think, was the leader in the clubhouse.
That's it. And of course, there's the Saratoga reference.
Yes.
Went up to Saratoga, and your horse naturally won. 8th race today at Saratoga. Conditional claimer, 7 furlongs a trip. Your thoughts in the 8th?
Another race that I particularly fancy in here, and I would be surprised if I'm 3-4-9. That you see, Seth has a 3. Vulcan is 6-1 in here. Seth. They're not hit. They're, I think, sometimes called hidden fractures or something. But in sprint races, I love that second quarter mile, and 22-1, and you can extrapolate that Vulcan ran 22-1 also, as was able to maintain the spot in the race. I think that's not a far leap, and I'm not surprised that got fatigued at the end greatly, beaten 16 lengths. That was June 19th. I've talked earlier, at the beginning of this meet, that Munnings is just a very good son of Spicetown as his own stallion. So Vulcan, to me, Tyler Gaffleone, Brad Cox, that to me at 6-1 is very appetizing.
Cazadero a good horse.
What's that?
The winner of the last.
Oh yeah,
Cazadero.
it's that was one of those. They are allowance races because the majority of the horses in them are in under the allowance condition, not 100 Gs. You ever see those races out of Santa Anita for 150 Gs?
Yeah.
Claiming races, yeah.
Every once in a while, somebody's in for the tag.
Listen, the 2-year-olds identity.
And every once in a while, somebody jumps in. You're like, wow.
Yeah, that's a big jump. We have the 100,000s. I think I still update it, but I have a sheet that of the $100,000 claims. So Identity Politics, Chad Brown is probably the horse to beat at the betting windows, and then number 9. There is a storm of brewing for Michelle Nevin, first off the claim, but 3-4-9.
4, 2, 3, and 7. Identity Politics on top for me. It's Chad. It's Klarovich. Moving into the claiming ranks. I think that's going to be a potent angle in here to give this horse just a little bit of a class edge in this bunch. Kalani Brigade, the other Chad Brown runner, has a little bit of early speed. Hasn't been seen since early May. But again, I think class-wise is going to stack up nicely with this bunch. And I have no arguments about Vulcan. I debated moving this horse around. I think dropping in for the tag, this horse is going to class up nicely with this group as well. So for me, 4, 2, 3, and 7.
All right, take a quick break. When we come back, stakes action and the final pick 3.
Welcome to the West. I'm Scott Varley at Saratoga's latest and greatest high-rise luxury condo. Starting in the mid-5s, every condo here has 2 bedrooms and 2 baths and upgrades just like this. Check out these oversized private balconies. We also have a gym, a private lounge, and get this, a heated parking garage. To make a reservation for your private condo at the West, call or text me. I'm Scott Varley at 518-281-6808.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the backstretch of Saratoga Race Course, Clare Court. No golf cart stuck in the tunnel with the water. I saw that, made the picture of the TU. I think Tim Wilkie came over, got a picture of it, which is rightfully so, newsworthy, and they put it in their horse racing coverage, which is
I don't know who was thinking.
Excellent.
Who was thinking I'm going to get through that over there the other day. But I was just going to give the lineup top of the hour for racing across America. We will be joined live. Tom Durkin going to step in. So we'll talk to Tom a little bit this morning, top of the hour. And then we have a couple of tape pieces yesterday right behind us. They're based here at Clare Court. Rob and Brittany Atras, rhymes with mattress. And we'll talk a little bit about Maracuja, obviously, in the Alabama today, and a little bit more with Rob and Brittany. Brittany's a graduate of the Darley Flying Start, so we talked a little bit about that as well. And then I'm going to replay from yesterday our Dallas Stewart interview.
Did you use any of my stuff yesterday? Did you?
I did. Well, I used to with Eddie. With Eddie,
he didn't deny it.
No,
he was like, said, "That's all me." What did he say?
He said that was my mark.
That was his mark. Because sometimes at that time he lived in Florida, and their kids go to school early, so Eddie would have to miss like the last 7-8 days of racing.
But the memory was still there.
It was right there. And did you use winning colors at all with Dallas?
As soon as he sat down. Yep.
And
he said hard to work. He said he picked her up a little later in the career and was working her for
not a day at the beach, as I understand it.
But yesterday we were off the air a little bit early, and I think we might have come on during the Dallas interview, but by then people may not have been tuned in anymore or whatnot. But I wanted to, because he's got an entrant in the Alabama today, so I wanted to make sure people saw that. So we'll replay Dallas.
Right, it's a very small group of trainers that defeated Songbird, and what was it, the personal ensign up here? He came forever unbridled, thundering down about the 5-path. And
we show and talk about Forever Unbridled, which showed a Breeders' Cup too.
Yeah, I said, people might forget it. I happened to see him that night. I said, just so we're clear, if that race had been another 60th of a mile, she was going to beat Songbird by 6. She was flying by her. That was one. It might have been Songbird's last race, as it turned out. But what Songbird win? Like 16 out of 18?
Well, it was impressive, absolutely.
I always say this. She had there was no show betting in her coaching club, American Oaks or Alabama. That's not unheard of. There were fields of 7 and 8, I think, which is somewhat unheard of.
Well, the one that stands out to me in that category is on the other side of the street when Niatros came to Saratoga, and it was
went for a drink.
Complete full field, and they had no betting whatsoever on Niatros. He went top of the stretch. He felt the whip for the first time and jumped the rail and went to the infield.
Niatros at Saratoga getting beat. Ninth race, used to be in the Najana when we were younger and had more brown hair, and then it coupled with the
more hair, period.
George 25 years ago. It's 3-year-old fillies, a mile and a 16th Lake Placid, as Seth said at the top, moved from the Mellon turf course to the inner. I don't think that's unimportant. I've said this before. I think, if it was possible in a perfect world, all of the stakes racing that was possible, I would run on the Mellon turf course versus the inner. But we have that sprint stakes race, the Smart and Fancy, early in the day, so it's probably the better part of valor being discretion that we're going to run on the inner 3-year-old fillies.
Yeah, we have the top 2 flip-flop, but I went with technical analysis to put the Lake Stakes together, won the Lake George earlier, and did it in pretty fine fashion.
Well, one of the things we should do this like once a year, and this will be the time. Seth and I look at races differently. Seth, you tell your part because I don't want to speak for you. Your general way of looking at this.
I always
look. It's why we have.
I'm looking for them to come
This is how you
I
think
call
they're
them the
gonna
way
come under
they
line.
come under the wire.
Right. And I put the 4 over the 2 because I just think it's a better. They're too close to me, close enough, and I'm going to take the better price every time. Seth likes.
And
I think
since we're talking about it, it's a good.
We have good.
I think everything is I think your way of doing it is valid. My way, so long as people know how people handicap, that's valid. My thinking though is I'll call them the way they come, the way I think they're going to come under the wire, and hopefully here on the show, or if I'm writing an analysis, if I say, which I occasionally do, boy, I really think these two are pretty evenly matched, and I had a tough time. And one of them is 2-5, and one of them is 8-1. Over on the other side, I'm betting the 8-1 shot, even if I had. So I'm not necessarily saying
and
this
I'm
is
picking the 8-1 shot in the morning.
Yeah, which again I think is valid.
Right.
I just don't with so many betting options now. I like to do it my way and let other people decide how they want to bet. But I think the way you do it is perfectly valid.
Perfect lead into why they're flip-flopped. If you said to me, who do I think is going to win the race, technical analysis has an edge. But if technical analysis is 4-5 and runway rumor is 4-1, I have just come to my own self-understanding that I want the 4-1 shot day in and day out. If they're that close, I want the price. And I think that's, this is a really great example of it. As soon as you said flip-flopped, I was like, I thought that was a good spot.
Yeah, no, and that is definitely work because, as I say, I think as long as people know how somebody's handicapping, it's completely valid, and that's the way I look at the races. But so technical analysis to me, off of that race does have the edge. Runaway Rumor was 4th in that race, but had a win streak snap. So I think this one is absolutely legitimate too. Ego Trip for Brendan Walsh is interesting to me. Still a maiden. I think belongs in here. I think fits in here nicely and could be an interesting player at a 6-1 morning line. So I wouldn't argue anybody off of that. And speaking of betting and play, I think in a horizontal, I'm probably 3 deep just in case Ego Trip does break through this afternoon. But I have it 2, 4, 3, and 6.
And my ways, I'll kind of say like the race goes through technical analysis. What I'm saying is these doors to beat. I'm trying to be. One thing I will say, obviously we pick up so many fans summertime, particularly for fillies and mares. For their future as broodmares. To get black type is very important. So maybe Brendan Walsh thinks he can beat technical analysis and others in here, but running third is valuable for Ego Trip. And I know that's something that has nothing to do with going to the betting windows, but we might have fans out there going, well, why would a maiden be running against, in stakes action against, doesn't look like a wide open race? Well, there is some residualness out there.
And speaking of black type, putting a grade 1 Alabama on your resume certainly is going to polish up things when you head to the broodmare shed. And these 3-year-old fillies that are facing off this afternoon are all looking for that prize and the better part of the $600,000 that's up for grabs today in the Alabama at 1.25 miles. And the 1.25 miles may be the big question mark in here. I think it's a fun field. How'd you see it?
Well, if you're a horizontal player, I mean, to me, wow, you kicked me down to third. Did you tell him before the interview that that's where this was headed? I suspect it. I mean, to me, I think you take the 4-6 and you go to the hoop if you're a horizontal player. I thought I would be reaching for Played Hard, who I think has a real interesting pace advantage in this race. And one thing I do believe in dirt races, 10 furlongs, you start to think, well, closers, but it's like the pace ends up being softer. Horses that, can go farther, the pace is usually stronger in 9 furlong races than 10, and that helps Played Hard in this spot, but it was too much of a reach for me. It all goes through the 4-6, and once again, it's not going to be 3-10 and 14-1, but I thought they were pretty darn close, and even though Maracuja beat Malafat, I feel very confident that people are going to reject the Coaching Club American Oaks and be like, it's still Malafat. Yeah. So I'm happy that they're going to give me a better price. I think this race is very contentious. Malafat, I said it right after. I think, Seth, that was the first Sunday I did. And I've said it before. I said it with Curlin coming out of the Kentucky Derby when he ran third. Her first defeat was her best career race. And that
she ran huge.
That's double kudos to say that. So Malafat is the horse to beat here. And I think since you have her on top, she's going to be odds on again. Even losing at 3-10, she's going to be. She might be 1-2. I'm not saying she's going to be 3-10 again, but Maracuja isn't going to be 14-1 either. Yeah. But I want to say, Maracuja's race was, I thought, outstanding also.
Oh, absolutely.
Not the style. Brian Nadeau made a great point. You Touch Gold's Belmont Stakes, beating Silver Charm, is one of the few types of races that you see up early, drop back, swing around. Now, Maracuja's advantage was that Malathat was getting drilled in the middle of it. I think it's a great race.
Yeah, Rob Atras said, well, you can listen to the interview
I noticed
later.
that little pause,
says,
clicking your brain to rhyme it with mattress. I like it. It's a learning curve.
But he said on the turn, he was kind of thinking, oh, what happens to my horse?
Yeah. Aludar didn't beat a firm, but when he got run over, he dropped back and had to re-rally. It's just not often done. I think it's going to be a great race. If you're a horizontal, it's 4-6 to me, and you just yawn to the next race. I tried 2 races in the Coaching Club America in Oaks when I was handicapping to get Clairiere there. I just don't think she's a cut there. She was kind of, a spot I think where a lot of people who see my work regularly would go, oh, probably go, but I just didn't believe out of her Mother Goose. My point was I didn't think her Mother Goose was as good as it might have appeared, and she didn't run that well. Crazy Beauty played hard. I mean, it's a good race, but I still think it goes through the 4-6.
Yeah, I put Malathat on top. I don't think she's invincible. I wonder if the Ding Dong battle
proof she's not invincible.
Took something out of these two, and it's 1.25 miles.
Yeah, but you ran hard every step.
Yeah,
I didn't run hard every step. So, I got a breather.
And so I looked for an alternative, and if somebody had jumped off the page to me as like the clear next horse, I might have gone in that direction. I just didn't find it.
I think some people might think Clairiere is the
well, and I put Clairiere underneath because
now.
I've liked her throughout the career, and I just I'll play her this afternoon just for a mental health kind of a thing too because I've liked her right along. So I played her. But Maracuja is Army Wife is going to be interesting in here. Crazy Beautiful, I think, is very interesting in here. But Malathat, still a leader in the division. And if she gets the 1.25 miles, has a little bit of an edge in here. But it's just a slight edge. And the 1.25 miles is going to be the question mark for all of these, obviously. We'll see what happens in the last eighth of the mile with these.
Maybe
but
based on
6, 3, 4,
pedigree, less so for the top 2.
Yeah,
you would think that based on their pedigree that they're going to enjoy the distance. I will say this, and I rarely have seen this. I can see this 4-6 and kind of a yawn, except a great sporting event, a yawn from a betting standpoint. But if all heck breaks loose, all bets are off. Everybody's in the pool, but I think it's 4-6. Finale, off the turf at 7/8, 3-year-olds and up, open company, fillies and mares, maiden special weights. Perfect Grace, 3-5 on the morning line on the outside, the only MTO.
Yeah, I thought that one had the edge, given the situation. 12, 1, 4, and 8 for me. Goff, the one horse, a little bit of an unknown in there, and I thought the workout at Ellis on August 10th on the main track out of the gate says this one may be okay with the surface switch if they elect to stay in. Split then double, debuted on the dirt. It wasn't much, but it was the first race of the career. The horse may be better now, so again, if they stay in, I'll look at that one as well. 12, 1, 4, and 8.
Ingress to 6 is someone interests me. Now, I will say this, Seth. Perfect Grace is 3-5 in the morning line on the outside. More Moonshine, who they didn't bet off the charts, but was the 3-2 favorite, ran last the other day. A horse that on Thursday, talking with Brian, I maintain. First off, you have to bet against horses like More Moonshine making the second career start, and secondly, as a public handicapper, you have to pick against them. I didn't think she was going to run last, but I knew I felt strongly she was going to be a horrible bet. And now, Perfect Grace comes out of that race. So, I mean, take your chances at 3-5. I mean, you're on the outside. I don't think this race is as tough as, stepping up to winners. I thought she was in a tough spot, but at 3-5, boy, you're supposed to be really good and have
More
a race.
Moonshine did clearly disappoint. There's no question about it.
I think that's fair. And I will say this, that they don't have the numbers up, but I'm 12-9-6, and I understand the 9. But Ingress, the 6, I would think, as a daughter of Medaglia d'Oro, is staying in the race. And that's a horse that
Another couple of nice workouts too on the main track.
That's a horse that
it towards.
I would be salivating if she stays in. I mean, this is an example. You're telling me 3 to 5, 6 to 1 morning line. Well, I want ingress. I mean, every day of the week, and I'll take my chances to be positive ROI.
Sounds good.
All right, we have our DePaula spot right now. We'll take a quick break. Take a quick break right now. And we'll come back with DePaula play of the day.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. But here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Bob. These two arch rivals hang ahead with Joe Hart very dominant. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the top. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
The Capital Region has some of the most sophisticated horse racing fans in the country. That's why Capital OTB built the Clubhouse Racebook. Here you can wager year-round on the best horse racing from around the world. The Clubhouse also has monthly promotions including live bankrolls, handicapping contests, and so much more. Like sports? Watch your favorite teams on more than 30 screens in Legends Field Sports Grill. Food, sports, and the excitement of championship horse racing. Only at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
At DePaula, we think of our customers as family, so we want your experience to be fair and easy. Family owned since 1980, DePaula means quality and convenience, along with concerned and certified technicians. So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs. At DePaula, we think of our customers as family, so we want your experience to be fair and easy. Over $2 million in original factory parts means you receive the very best for any make or model. So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
It's post time for today's DePaula Play of the Day.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on Saturday, Alabama morning here in Saratoga, but it's Pacific Classic Day out at Del Mar. Steve Bick, our Play of the Day man, has been out at Del Mar the past few days doing the radio show. Steve, good morning.
Seth, Anthony, good morning.
Happy to have you.
I love that scene in Wall Street.
Wait a minute.
My favorite part about the scene is he lies. He says it's a beautiful, sunny, cloudless morning, and it's gray and overcast in the Hamptons.
Wait a
See, they put up
minute.
Michael Douglas with his beautiful cell phone circa 1987.
Wait a minute.
With the brick. This is your wake-up call, pal.
Great one. Great job. Great job, Steve.
Hey, now.
Look at this.
Here, listen, come on.
This is
come on,
living.
what am I here? You think you're gonna find me in the hotel room?
Not at 7 a.m. What was I thinking?
Exactly. It's 10 o'clock for me. That's one of the crazy parts about coming out here, and I got to do the show at 6 a.m. And so, even if you would jump to West Coast time, you're still kind of, you're kind of out of whack.
Yes.
So up at 4 o'clock, typically 3:30 sometimes. But it's great to be here, and a terrific card out here that we're really looking forward to. In fact, I'm going to use the play of the day from Del Mar, if people don't mind, later on in the 8th. During that stake sequence, there's one allowance. And as it happens, Mark Blatt has got a horse that is a little dirtied up. the 6, Scary Fast Smile, 6-1, and should come back and win the 8th today at Del Mar, your DePaula play of the day.
Very good. A little look at Del Mar for this afternoon for people who are going to jump in out there. And Brian said you also may have had something at Saratoga?
Well, I will say this. You've got a little bit of an opportunity, I think, in that late pick 4 with the 11th coming off the turf. Perfect Grace, the Ralph Nix horse, is going to be 2-5 and shouldn't lose. And in the front end of the pick 4, you've got Identity Politics coming back to the main track, 7/8, and should also win. So that leaves you with the 2 stakes. Well, what do? You could actually hit the alt button in the Lake Placid, and there's a real chance that Ego Trip or Runaway Rumor or even Lovestruck tip an upset to me in the Lake Placid. So hit the alt button in the 9th, and then in the Alabama, Malathat is absolutely your likeliest winner. However, with the way the racetrack has been, essentially been kept sealed for 96 hours, the front end is going to be very tough. And yesterday during the show, Dick Tamaro, who is your new announcer at Sam Houston Race Park, we talked a little bit about Played Hard, the Phil Bauer that's coming back off the win. She reminds me of the Tony Dutrow from, 5 years ago, Embellished the Lace. And Played Hard could wire this field. So I'm going to use Played Hard and Malathat in the Alabama. So it's 4 with all, with 5, 6, with 12. It's a $12 punch for $1. And I think you hit the late pick 4, and I think it pays okay.
All right, then.
I like it.
Steve, enjoy beautiful Del Mar thoroughbred.
Well, where the turf meets the surf, and take a train,
yards.
take a plane to old Del Mar. Coming to you until Monday, and then off to Vegas for the National Handicapping Championship.
Excellent. So next time we
Enjoy.
talk a little Vegas. Yeah.
Thanks,
thanks for
guys.
tuning
Good
in.
luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Busy time. He stays, I go. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the afternoon Alabama Stakes. Steve's race is about 8:30 our time. Pacific Classic is about 9:30 our time. We'll see you next time.
You've been watching the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.